Tag team back again. Hey y'all. Hey, 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 hey. Yeah, I know. Twice in one day. How about that? Twice in one day. I'm gonna give you a green screen. See if I can stop fading. Can I tell you I have been a busy bee today? Busy, busy, busy. Woo! Yeah. So you know what I want you to do? Tell me where you are and what's in your cup. Yeah, yeah. Tell me where you are and what's in your cup. And say something because I look like I'm still on my end. And I want to make sure that y'all can hear me on your end. So if you are in here, tell me something. Up, there's Michelle. There's Michelle. I know I'm back in my regular setting. Well, you told me that you weren't getting your notifications, and so I made sure I at least sent you a text message. So, um, hey TJ, how are you doing? So while y'all are here, hey Kim Armstrong, all right. While y'all are here, I want to tell y'all this one thing before I get started. So y'all know that I work at Tina's Boutique here in Little Rock, Arkansas. And it shouldn't be because I shut everything down. I'm gonna turn my phone off. I'm turning my phone off. I want y'all to know that later on this month, Tina Patton, the owner of the boutique, is actually having a business class seminar, right? So I'm going to post the flyer to my page. I haven't sat down long enough because today I just got it today, and I'm going to post it later on today, probably tonight. I ended up staying at the boutique a little later. She just texted me and said she's still there. Some people came in, and so she is doing a business workshop, and it is free. The first class is free, and then if you want some more specialized learning, then there will be a fee for that. But the first class is free. So be sure to check my Facebook page for that. Um, but now What you looking for, TJ? Um, I'm trying to think. There's some African wear. I'm going through the boutique in my head. So there's a room that's all church clothes and dress clothes. And then there's a rack with some sweaters and some jeans and some of those big puffy balloon joggers. There is, then there's African wear, then there's some more church wear. Then there's some kind of dressy party wear. Then there's more African wear. Then there's some church stuff. There's some hats. There's some scarves. There's lots of accessories. So it depends on what you're looking for, TJ. It depends on what you're looking for. It might be something. It could be. So, and she's open tomorrow from 9 to 2. 7521 Colonel Glenn Road. So if you got time tomorrow would be a good day for you to come on through. She's probably doing some hair. But if you can get in between that, because she's not usually open on Saturdays. So if you can find your way. Woo, Kim, walk out. Walk out the room. Okay, y'all. All right. So let's do Freedom Friday and let me get out of here because I got one more thing to do today before I can lay it down. And it's not at home. And so today we're going to talk about what happens when your soul finally what happens when your soul finally stands down. When your soul finally gets off of alert. Now, I can't tell you how long that's going to take, but it can come off of alert. Because what we've been talking about this week, we talked about your soul bracing. We talked about how your mind keeps something on replay because it's trying to resolve it to closure. Because your mind, your whole soul, always is striving to keep you in a place that feels safe. And sometimes safe, it means going back to something that's familiar, which is not always the best thing, right? But your brain is always your mind, your will, your emotions, your intellect, your imagination, your understanding. They're all working together to keep you in a place of safety. So we talked about bracing, where your soul is just, standing at attention, waiting for the shoe to drop. We've talked about your mind being on replay. It just keeps going back to that instance. It keeps going back to what happened to put you in a place to need to forgive someone or something. We talked about internal noise when you're trying to go to sleep or you get to a quiet space and you can't turn your mind off. And we talked about, how it impacts your sleep and all of that, right? And then we talked about yesterday, we talked about emotional reactivity, and we said that emotional reactivity is a very natural thing. It is not a lack of maturity. It is not rebellion. It is where your soul is at that moment with the issue that has got you hung, right? So, and we talked about how it shows up like, I know I'm thinking, it shows up like the person walks in and your first thought, person X has done something to you. You haven't forgiven them for said thing for whatever reason. And so person X walks into the room and your first instinct, before you can catch yourself, you think something crazy. You might even say something crazy, and so a lot of times that before I could catch myself is really true. Before I could catch myself because you haven't forgiven them. Before I could catch myself because the feeling is really, really raw. You thought something, you said something. And if you're in a place of forgiveness, you can kind of give yourself the space to say, you know what, I don't need to be in that place in my soul. And so we talked about emotions versus feelings. Emotion is what sparks the reaction when the offender shows up. That's emotion. Feelings is what you choose to let linger after you've had the initial reaction. I'll give a positive example. I went away for a week, forgot for a workshop. Now, did I talk to my husband? Yes, I did. But I didn't see him. We didn't have our usual interaction, our usual conversation, blah, blah, blah. So when I got to the point of, okay, I'm off the plane, I'm coming, he's picking me up at the airport, and I saw him and we light up, right? We light up. And so that's emotion. And because I love him and because, we're in a good space and all the things, then the feelings of joy, happiness, all that, I can let those feelings remain because those are the byproducts of the emotion. So it's like the emotion is the spark, and then the feelings are the fire that it starts. Now, if you're mad, if somebody has done something to you, okay, so I'll give a different example. Same person. So let's say me and Steven are at a disagreement, right? And so because we're at a disagreement, he decides he's gonna go hang out with his friends instead of hanging out with me. And so now I got mad, right? Because this is silly couple stuff. And so he goes out, and so now I'm mad because of whatever we was mad about. And so then I hear him coming back. I hear him coming back to the house, right? Because he done hung out as much as he can hung out. I hear him coming back to the house, and my first emotion, it's crazy. My first emotion is, yay, he's back home. But then I say, but I'm mad. Do you see emotion, feelings, right? Feelings you control. Feelings you control. Emotions pop off just because of it's an indicator of where your soul is. What you say, Kim Armstrong? I know that feeling now, but that our son hit over 18. I thought I was, girl, yes. That's why they be saying, they tell you be careful who you mate with. Okay. So we talked about all of that because we want you to get to a place of freedom. So we gave reflection questions. Go back and watch. We talked about what's keeping you up at night. What is it that your mind keeps replaying back to? All of those questions. Go back and watch. And so, not adding anything new, I'm telling you what happens when your soul gets a chance to just not be on alert. And that's where the place of freedom is. And that's when it's not the absence of emotion. It's not pretending that it doesn't hurt. It's just your soul no longer needs to stay in fight or flight. That's the goal. That's the goal, is to not be forever in fight or flight. You're not the situation is not as urgent. You don't have a whole bunch of emotional spikes. If something does happen, this is how freedom works. If something does happen and you get angry, when your soul feels safe, which means you trust God, because trusting you just keep your soul all wound up. So you're trusting God and you live in a space of, thinking, I'm going to be a forgiving person. I'm going to live in the space of I'm going to forgive people who offend me. And I know there's different levels of offense, but forgiveness is a choice no matter what level of hurt they inflicted upon you. And so when you live in the space of, yeah, I'm gonna choose forgiveness. That is my decision. That when people act a donkey, and some people have acted a donkey on me recently, when people act a donkey, I'm gonna still choose forgiveness so that God can go on and heal my feelings. Because freedom puts you in a place where you're in alignment with God. You can hear what He tells you to do, and you can do it without the residuals of everything. So it looks like not needing to defend your position. It looks like not having to keep your head on a swivel, right? The role of forgiveness and freedom. Forgiveness is not about the other person. Forgiveness is how the soul tells itself, you can relax. You trust God enough to take care of the people that hurt you. You, and sometimes you have to say it out loud, and that's perfectly fine. You say, you know what? Mind, you can calm down because we've forgiven her. You can calm down because we're not living in the past. Because if you stay in unforgiveness, all you doing is jumping in the swamp garbage of the past. And you're living there. And you can't go forward to what God has for you if you live you know, in muck and mire. See, that's the muck and mire that the old people be talking about. And brought me from out the miry clay. You're mired in unforgiveness and you're stuck. And you can't go nowhere. So just know 2 Corinthians 3:17, where the Spirit of the Lord is, there is liberty. Forgiveness opens your soul to let the Spirit of the Lord come in and do whatever it is that He needs to do to get you free. Because whom the Son sets free is free indeed. And yes, it is talking about the Son has set you free so that you can have eternal life. He has also set you free that so you can have an abundant life while you are still relegated to live here on this earth. All right, y'all. I went over yesterday, so guess what? This is all y'all get today. This is all y'all get. All right. I need for everybody tag 2 people, share this to your timeline. Thank you for joining me on Freedom Friday, and I will see y'all Monday. Have a wonderfully free weekend. Go back and look at this week's videos over the weekend because next week we're coming back with some new stuff about your soul and unforgiveness. All right, y'all. Holla.